All right, I think we've just welcomed Impo. Welcome, Impo. All right, great to see you, Travis. Thank you. All right, if everyone's ready, please can I just get some thumbs up before we get going, just to make sure everyone's here? Okay. Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Tina. Okay. So, my friends, welcome to How to See UFO and What to Do When They See You Back. It's a great pleasure to be here with you all. I'm really grateful for you guys joining. My name is Ashley, and I'll share a little bit more about me shortly. But first, before we begin, so just want to welcome and thank you so much for making it this morning. I guess it's morning on some of your guys' time zones. For me, it's afternoon. So what we're about to explore together is unlike anything you'll find in mainstream media, academic circles, or your average evening in. So I hope that you make yourselves comfortable, keep an open mind, and enjoy everything that is shared. You don't have to take anything on personally as though it was your truth. This is simply what I have to share with you. If some parts of it resonate with you, great. If some parts don't, lovely. I hope that at least you would have had a good time. All right. So, a quick things before we move forward. It looks like you're all already on mute, so that's great. This is just a little bit of housekeeping. If you have a question, look, this is a bit of an intimate group, so you're welcome to just raise your hand. And if I feel that it would be appropriate, you're welcome to unmute yourself and ask your question, or you're welcome to just add it on the chat. That will not be a problem. Or save your question because we'll have a quick Q&A session at the very end. All right. So, my name is Ashley. I am originally from a little island called Mauritius in the Indian Ocean. It's a tiny, tiny island nation, and I was fortunate enough to grow there in a very diverse and multicultural community. So I've learned a lot by growing up in Mauritius. I've also done a lot of, I've lived a lot in South Africa for around 10 years. Moved back to Mauritius 6 years ago, and I'm back in South Africa. Anyways, that's a story for another time. But basically, I've been in this field for the last 15 years, since 2010. It's been a real passion of mine, and I'm excited to share with you what I've been up to and see if that resonates with any of you all. All right. So we know they are here, my friends. Tonight is not about proving or disproving that. And anything you will generally see on UFO communities or UFO podcasts and things that I personally follow as well, it's all about, is this thing real, or could there be other explanation? Could it be a foreign actor? Could it be many different things? Look, this is not the webinar that will discuss whether they're real or not. We're simply assuming that they are because the evidence is overwhelming. And so it is really about something much greater, this webinar. And I think that you all have an important role to play. The fact that you are here says a lot. And I want you to pay attention to that. All right. So what we'll be covering tonight, quick welcome, just a quick one on who I am and how it works. We'll explore the past, present, and future of contact. So, we know they exist, the overview of the contact community and the intro to the Open Skies contact protocols. We'll also understand a little bit more. I'll share some tips with you on how to actually see a UFO and what to do when they see you back, which I guess is what got you all here in the first place. And at the very end, I will share a very special invitation with you all. So again, I have no idea how long this is going to take. Generally, depending on the questions, could take 30 minutes, could take 40 minutes. So get comfortable and let's get going. So ready to begin? Can I just get a few thumbs up if everyone's here and paying attention? Just to make sure we're not missing everybody. Thanks, Mark. Usual suspects. Tina, I knew Tina was going to be there. Travis, I see you. Seems like Mauricio is still not here, and Annie, but that's all good. Got you guys there. Great. Thank you so much. I see Annie is able to make some little red dots on the thing. I'm not understanding how that works, but we'll figure it out, I'm sure. All right, great. All right, guys, great. So to begin, just a quick icebreaker. It starts easy, but it gets a little bit harder. Just a few questions, just to have some fun, just to warm up. What happened in 1947, guys? Just a quick one. What happened in 1947? Very easy, I know. Could anyone write in the chat? Too easy. Okay, great. Too easy. It was Roswell, of course. Again, bit of a warm up. Who is the recent whistleblower who claimed recovered crashes and biologics and testified to Congress? Can anyone write that in the chat? Okay, moving on. This was David Grush. So David Grush recently appeared in 2023 in front of Congress, which was quite a breakthrough in the UFO community. I mean, I've been part of this community for 15 years, which is nothing compared to what a lot of people have been in this community in, and I'm sure some of you may have been even longer than I have. But this guy, David Grush, really changed a lot of things in terms of how people view UFOs and the potential that this has to impact our world. So he wasn't just Jerry in Kentucky behind a barn that saw a flying saucer. This guy actually worked in the exact programs that he was warning about. So I think that was quite important to mention. Would anyone be able to share what your most memorable UFO case or story is in the comments, my friends, in the chats? First of all, does everyone have access to the chat? I mean, it's at the bottom. You click on chat and then you can write a message. I'm not sure if you're all able to do that. If we could take a quick minute. Mark, I know you spoke about S4 on message. I'm not sure if that is one of yours. Zimbabwe, 1947. Absolutely, the Ariel school phenomenon. I think that's definitely one of my favorite as well. This is an unbelievable story. Yeah, truly incredible. I think that was also mine. I see Empo's typing. Awesome. Travis, anything on your side? Okay, so feel free to continue adding it to it. Yes, 1997 Phoenix Lights, truly a incredible story as well. And that was the night where everyone was out looking for a particular astrological phenomenon, and everyone had their cameras, obviously, and then the biggest, largest sighting in human history happened. So that's pretty amazing. All right, moving forward, my friends, just a quick one. What's the one question you want answered the most by the end of tonight? If anyone has any burning question, please add it in the comments. I'd be very curious to hear what you guys have to share on that. Burning questions. Or if you're just curious, just type just curious. Great, Mark. Where are the non-human intelligence from? Very interesting question. And that's definitely something we can touch on a little bit later with great pleasure. Just curious. Awesome, Travis. Thank you very much. All right, great. A scale of 1 to 10, how open are you to the idea that peaceful contact with UFOs is possible for ordinary people? Scale of 1 to 10. I'd love to hear your thoughts, my friends. Mark, 10, wonderful. How possible would that be for you guys? 10, Travis, thank you. Super open, 100, excellent. And again, you don't have to be 10 or 100, my friends. You can be 1, you can be 0. That's what this is about, right? We're all just exploring it together. I'm not here to convince you of anything. I'm just here to share information. All right, excellent. Thank you so much for those that are engaging. Have you seen something in the sky you couldn't explain? Yes or no? Quick yes or no. Who's seen a UFO in their life so far? Show of hands. I mean, I have. Mark, never? Okay. Tina, still waiting. Okay, well, maybe waiting is actually what's keeping you from creating that experience. But we'll chat about that shortly. All right, great, great, great. Excellent. All right, my friends. Well, look, this was very much the only, oh, Travis, no. Okay, great. This was pretty much the only interactive section. I'm now going to go a little bit into a monologue and share some of the ideas with you and the crux of why we are all here tonight. So first of all, I'm very grateful once again for all of you guys to be here. Let's move forward. So we know they exist. We know that they are here. This webinar, once again, does not discuss whether they exist or not. This webinar will teach you about the human-initiated contact community and how to become a part of it yourself. All right? So what is human-initiated contact? Right? It sounds quite fancy, but it is quite straightforward. To start, we begin with Mr. J. Allen Hynek, who was a U.S. Air Force advisor in the 1960s. And he developed, well, he was an advisor on Project Blue Book, which we know as the controversial project that the government had entertained in the 1960s. A lot of people seem to think, myself potentially included, that it was more of a disinformation operation than anything else, and that Hynek was there just to play the role. However, he, through his own investigation, regardless of what his higher-ups were telling him to say in the reports, he realized that what was happening here is not something he could actually explain. And he became a believer. He was the biggest skeptic, right? And so because he became a believer and he had a scientific background, he created a framework for how we can categorize contact, right? So he created three different frameworks. So we have CE1, which is a visual sighting at close range, right? It's a UFO observed within 500 feet of the witness. No physical interaction, purely visual. The craft is seen clearly, often with detail, shape, lights, movement. The observer is a passive witness to something that is undeniable. All right, that's a CE1. Then you have CE2, which is physical evidence left behind, potentially like the Ariel school phenomenon when they landed and left some radiation traces. So these encounters of CE2 leave a physical trace: scorched earth, flattened crops, electromagnetic interference, or effects on the witness's body. The craft was here and it left proof. CE2 cases are among the most documented and scientifically studied. Then we have CE3, which is where occupants are actually observed. So non-human beings are seen in association with craft. There is no interaction, but there's presence. The witness sees them. This is the classification that forced science to ask a question it had been avoiding. So I don't know if you have all seen the video of the Turkey UFO. I think it was in 2007. But in that video, whether it's real or not, I cannot tell you that it's real or not. But if it was proven to be real, in that video is a CE3. You can actually see occupants in the ship, which is quite interesting. So make a note of that if you're interested. The Turkey UFO incident in 2007, if I'm not mistaken. And then after all these CEs, we have CE4, which is the abduction phenomenon. So this was added a little bit after. We're not going to cover much on it, although if you have some questions on it, please do ask them at the end of the session. This is a very, very, very big topic, which is very, very real. And a lot of people seem to think that it has a lot of negative connotation, potentially, some harmful connotation to it. And I totally get that. However, there's a much bigger story than most people are unaware behind this. All right. And then we have CE5, which is Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, which was developed by Dr. Stephen Greer, so to speak. So CE1 to CE4 are all passive, something that happens to you. However, CE5 and human-initiated contact is different. This is something that you engage in yourself. You are proactively inviting and trying to vector UFOs and extraterrestrial craft or interdimensional craft to your location. It is not something that is passive. It's something that is very much proactive. So in the early 1990s, Dr. Stephen Greer developed the CE5 protocol, so a set of practices designed to allow ordinary humans to intentionally initiate contact with non-human intelligence. We're not waiting. We're not watching the sky. We are reaching out. This is the foundation of everything we do at Open Skies. All right. Greer was not the first one, however, potentially not even close, right? A lot of people seem to think that CE5 and contact started with Greer. It actually didn't. It started way back in the 80s, if not 70s, with the Rama group in South America. So long before CE5 had a name, a group of ordinary people in South America were already doing it. The Rama group gathered in the Peruvian desert in the early 70s with nothing but intention, coherence, and an open sky. And contact happened repeatedly, documented, witnessed. They were the first organized human-initiated contact group in recorded history from what I could have found online. Maybe there were some before, but there is no documentation of it. Rama, from what I understand, is generally the first group that started these practices. I'd highly recommend you look into it if you're interested. They have had some very, very interesting encounters. Sixto Paz Wells was not actually the founder, but he's the one that took over from the founders, if I'm not mistaken. So he received his first contact experience in the Peruvian desert. He then went on to organize group expeditions where craft appeared before multiple witnesses, and including one time a Spanish journalist called J.J. Benitez, who documented what he saw and brought it back to the world. Unfortunately, J.J. Benitez was very much persecuted for that documentary and that article that he wrote on the Rama group and Sixto Paz Wells. A lot of his peers in the journalism world attacked him for covering the subject. You can imagine in the 70s and 80s, it was way more taboo than what it is now. So then that continued with Ricardo Gonzalez, not just Ricardo Gonzalez. There's actually quite a lot of South Americans that have branched off in their own ways and started their own groups. However, I'm just going to mention Ricardo Gonzalez here because I used to follow him quite a lot back then when he was doing a lot of those contact experiences in Mount Shasta. And I don't know if some of you know Paola Harris, but I've been following her for a long time as well, a wonderful journalist from Italy. And she has joined Ricardo on many, many occasions in the forest of Mount Shasta to initiate contact. And believe it or not, they have had many, many, many experiences. Even at one time, Paola described having the ability to see a physical being, a being that Ricardo called Antarel, if I'm not mistaken, Antarel. And one day, Paola actually encountered that being for herself. She was very scared, but it happened. So if you're interested, please look into that even more. And the practice is now alive under African skies. This is something that I've been doing for the last 15 years. It's 2011. And in a moment, I'll share two of my most significant personal experiences, which I'm very excited to share with you. But I have hosted dozens of retreats. I've had hundreds and hundreds of experiences myself. And most of the time, contact is successful. The only times that it has not been successful is because of an element in the group, meaning a person in the group, that was just not coherently aligned with who we were, and what we were trying to do, right? So you will understand that a little bit more as well. So first, what is contact and who can do it, right? Just a quick one. I've been speaking for quite a while. Can we just get a show of hands if you're all still here? Just a quick thumbs up. Travis, thank you so much. Everyone still here? Tina, great. Hope you're all having a good time. Excellent. All right. So what is contact and who can do it, my friends? So contact comes in many forms. The CE classification system gives us a framework, but contact is not limited to what happens in the field or under an open sky. Non-human intelligence communicates across many channels. Some people experience it without ever looking up. These are two that I'm going to share with you, but they're not the only two. All right. There is a video that I'm going to play here. So maybe if you guys have some sound, you're welcome to put the sound on to listen to it. So here are two of the most widely documented forms that occur outside of the C5 framework. The number one is the dream visitations, right? I'm not sure if some of you, I'm guessing that a lot of you here have actually had dream visitations. Maybe you don't remember, or you do, and you possibly just brushed it off. So many of the most vivid and documented contact experiences happen not in the field, but in the dream state. Beings appear with clarity and intention, delivering messages, imagery, or simply a presence that feels undeniably real. So these are not ordinary dreams. Those who experience them almost universally describe them as more real than waking life. My apologies. And if you want to ask me a question on that at the very end, I'll gladly speak about why dream visitations are actually quite important, and why do ETs or ultra-dimensional beings choose to contact us in the dream state as opposed to the physical state. And it has everything to do with your vibration and your frequency. So I've had a the most vivid encounter I've ever had. I don't even want to say it was a dream, because I don't actually remember waking up and being like, oh, that was an interesting dream. No, it's just a memory I have of a very physical encounter I've had with beings, which I'll share with you if you're interested. So here's a quick video of Joe Rogan speaking about a dream that he had. And this is not old. This is probably a month, 2 or 3 months old, right? So let's just listen to that very quickly.
Had the most bizarre dream I've ever had in my life last night. I was in some weird corridor and I was encountering these beings, and they were playful and they were scaring me. They scared me, and then they joked around, like we're just joking around. It was very bizarre in that there was communication going on. There was some sort of an indication that there was water and that there was a protection from you going out into the water. But if you did go into the water, there's a bunch of predators in the water. But they weren't like sharks. It was like crocodile type things that were in the water, and that they had been like feeding them and keeping them calm and like keeping them away. And I was really freaked out.
So as you guys can see, Joe Rogan shared a little bit more about that. He goes into more details if you're interested, but he had a very interesting dream recently, which I thought I would share here. I just want to welcome Maurizio. I think he joined us from a different laptop. All right. So then the second form of contact, which is very, very documented, is channeling. So channeling is the practice of receiving and transmitting information from non-physical or non-human intelligence through a human vessel. It has been documented across cultures for thousands of years, and in modern times, some of the most compelling examples include Edgar Cayce, you have Jane Roberts, Esther Hicks, and of course, Daryl Anka Bashar. So I'm not sure if you are familiar with Daryl Anka and Bashar, but that has been a really, really big teacher in my personal journey so far. It doesn't have to resonate with everybody, but him particularly, and that information that he comes through or shares that comes through is very much something that I've resonated with. Not only that, but it's something that has drastically changed my life in the most incredible ways. So just a quick one on channeling. I'm going to share with you very quickly how Bashar describes what he does for a minute or two. All right.
Is anyone here new to Bashar completely? Never.
And let me ask you all this question. Is anyone here new to Bashar? Has anyone heard about Bashar before? Please hands up or quick chat if you've heard about Bashar before. Travis, I know you have, my friend. Anyone else? If not, just be curious for a second and let's just listen to this, and then we'll move forward into more contact. Oh, info. Awesome. Thank you so much. Great.
Ever heard him before? A few people. Well, thank you for coming. Thank you very much. Very, very briefly, for the new people, this whole channeling started for me when I had about 38 years ago 2 broad daylight UFO sightings here over Los Angeles. First time about 150 feet away. Second time about 70 feet away. Black equilateral triangles about 20 feet on a side. That sighting started me learning what I have learned. I started doing research after having the sightings. Ultimately led to finding out about channeling and other metaphysical topics. Discovered a channel who was giving seminars 10 years after the sighting. And the entity coming through that channel offered to teach channeling for whoever was interested. And I went into the class not thinking I was going to become a channel. I just wanted to see how something like that could be taught. But during the class, which was a series of different kinds of guided meditations, I received what I perceived to be a telepathic contact from Bashar and his people. And in that one moment of that telepathic contact, an actual memory came back of having made an agreement before this life to do this with him. And I understood at that moment that the UFOs had been shown to me on purpose to get me to start moving in the direction of research I needed to move.
Great. So I'll pause it there. But basically, Bashar is an entity which we call Bashar. They don't actually have names. They don't need names on their planet, which has truly, truly shaped my life in the most incredible ways. So if you resonate with that, feel free to have a look at that as well. All right. So what we focus on here, my friends, is not necessarily channeling or dream visitation type of contact. We very much primarily focus on the CE5 style of contact, although I've developed my own protocols called the Open Sky Contact Protocols. So that's really what we'll be talking about here today. And this is what I'll aim to share with you as to how, even tonight, you can actually have that experience for yourself. All right. So there are other forms of contact, of course, as I said, synchronicities, dreaming, and channeling, but all of these occur naturally as you increase your vibration. Okay. So before I share how, I want to show you what it actually looks and feels like, right? I'll share 2 of my most vivid personal contact experiences. So my very first conscious contact experience, and I'm sharing that and I'm saying the word conscious because when I was 6 years old, I had a sighting with my mother, my aunt, and my cousin. We were in my driveway. I was 6 years old. We were about to go to a soccer match, and we saw this tic-tac shape thing just hovering above our heads. I pointed it out, told my mom, is it a plane? She said, no, it's, they looked at it weird. And then she said, oh, it's probably a UFO. And that's when I learned of the word UFO for the first time. But that was not a conscious one. I was 6 years old. I probably had many experiences at the time as well. But my very first conscious contact experiences, my friends, started in 2011. I was 21 years old, or about to be 21 years old. I had just learned about Dr. Stephen Greer a month or 2 before. And I was just very intrigued about CE5. I was like, how is that even possible? I mean, I had just learned about UFOs being real, or the idea that maybe we're not alone in this universe, and that what that would actually entail for our society. I had just really come into that information around a year before that. So Dr. Greer came on my way, and I got very interested and curious about what that CE5 thing was about. So just quickly, this is, anyone I'm sure will know which mountain this is. This is in Cape Town. This is Table Mountain. So at the very back of Table Mountain, as you see here, this is where I was living. All right. Basically, the story goes like this. I had a haircut scheduled at the nearby mall, which you can actually see in the photo there, which I went. It was the afternoon. I think it was something like 4 p.m. I went to the mall. I had 10 minutes to spare before my haircut needed to start. And I was just walking around and I saw this gadget store. And inside, the very first thing I saw was this green laser. And I recognized it as being the green laser that Dr. Greer uses on his CE5 expedition. So I was like, that is awesome. I'll get that laser. I took the action. I went ahead. I bought the laser, went to have a haircut, had my haircut, came back home. I was like, well, you know what? It's 5:30 or 6 p.m. now. I've got the laser. Let me go on the roof and try this thing out, right? I had just learned about CE5. So I pack my bag, I take my blanket, put on a jacket, I take my crystals, I take my little incense, I was very much into, I'm still am, but big into discovering meditation and mindfulness and consciousness at the time. And so I went on my roof, set up my little blanket, put out my crystals, lit my incense, and went into meditation. I meditated for around 20 minutes, got very centered on myself, felt very peaceful, and immediately just lied down. I lied down, I looked up, and there was the most beautiful night sky you could ever imagine. The Milky Way was starting to be very defined, and it looked really beautiful. And around 10 minutes later, this very bright object, actually potentially very similar to what you see on the image here next to the actual photo of the laser, a very bright light just appeared, something I had never really seen. But for a second, it was just traveling normally. And I was like, well, maybe that's a plane. My mind's trying to rationalize what that could be. Maybe it's a plane. Maybe it's something. And as soon as I said, maybe it's this, it just stopped right there and then. And I got a little bit shocked. I was like, oh, okay, no, this is definitely it, because nothing just stops in the sky, right? I just felt grateful. I was like, wow, this is, oh my God, it actually works. Like, are you serious? I was just shocked. I couldn't actually believe what was going on. And then that object just slowly phased out. It just phased out, and it disappeared right there and then in the middle of the sky. So I was like, okay, this is quite interesting. But that is not actually the point of this experience, my friend. The crux of this first contact experience is coming right now. I laid down again on my roof, and I tried to think about what I'd just seen. My mind started to make up all these ideas as to what it could have been. Could have been a satellite, could have been a plane. The mind will do this. When you see something like that, which is actually quite subtle, your mind is going to try and discredit that at all times. And that's okay. It's part of being human. But as I did that, I was sitting up and I looked right in front of me. And my friends, I want you to imagine, you see the photo next to the laser where you see the mountain. Right above that white building, do you see how steep that mountain is? Like, there are no trails there. There's no trails, there's no roads, there's no ways that anyone can just be there. This is extremely steep. And I was literally sitting on my roof looking exactly at what you're looking at right now, but it was at night. So I just saw this very faint little light just on that steepness of that mountain. So I was like, that is quite odd, but it was extremely faint. I really had to squint to see it. And I took my laser, and I kid you not, I pressed it once towards the light. As soon as my finger touched that button, that light became very bright and flashed me. And I just felt it in my heart. I was like, you know when you go down a hill, you just feel it. That's exactly what I felt. And I just felt it. And I couldn't comprehend what was happening. I was like, is this actually what I think it is? So my ego took over and was like, okay, you want to play? I took my laser, I flashed 3 times, like duck, duck, duck. And as soon as I finished my third flash, that thing flashed right back at me 3 times. And I was like, oh my God. I was very confused. I didn't actually understand what was going on. And that's when that light actually separated into 2 lights and started just traveling across the mountain like this to really, I think potentially at the time, to really hone in that this was just not humans with a flashlight flashing me back, right? And immediately in that moment, my friends, I got very scared, because in my mind, it was no doubt that, okay, I was actually interacting with an intelligent thing right now, because it flashed me right back. It felt like it could read my mind. I could feel it in my body, and I just felt very scared. So I immediately laid down, put the laser down, looked away, and said in my mind, that is enough. And I kid you not, my friends, 5 seconds later, because of course curiosity does what it does, I looked back and they were gone. There was nothing. And that was the end of the evening for me. I stayed another 2 minutes and then went back down just to my house just to integrate what had just happened. And that was the day that I really realized, my friends, that these entities will never go beyond what you're not comfortable with. They will never infringe on your fear. It's just like you seeing a puppy in the corner, and you can clearly see it's afraid of you. You're not going to quickly run to it and scare it. You're going to let it calm down, right? I feel that it's the same with these non-human intelligence that are interacting with us, right? Everyone here still here so far? Oh, I'm getting some questions. Just a quick one before we move to the next story. May I ask which religion you are? I'm not really religious, my friend. I'm what you would call most likely spiritual. Yes, Mark, it is very strange. However, there are many ways for you to reveal to yourself who and what they are. Okay, so very quickly, so that was my very first contact experiences. And then I'll share, and I've had hundreds since then, but I'll share another funny one with you, which was actually my 27th birthday gift. So this was also very interesting because I was in the West Coast National Park in Cape Town, around an hour away from Cape Town. It's a really remote and beautiful space. And then you can see we were in those cabins. I was celebrating my birthday there with my friends next to me. You can have Natasha and Gabriel. But the night before what you see there, it was a Saturday night, and we were outside. My wife and her friends were inside the house preparing dinner, from what I understand, and me, Gabriel, and another friend, Alex, and another guy, which I don't actually remember his name. We were all outside. And just to give you some context, my friends there, they don't know anything about UFOs. Like they're not into it at all. Like they are professionals, they're corporate professionals. They know I like UFOs and I'm into it, but they don't really they don't know anything about it, right? So we were just outside the early evening, and I just started seeing a whole lot of things, which I pointed out in the sky. And then I just got an idea. Let me just ask for what I'd like to see tonight. And I kid you not, my friends, I said, okay, tonight I want to see this most beautiful orange glowing orb coming right above my head, and that's all. right? That's all I said. My friends, 10 minutes later, after seeing a few satellites here and there, I kid you not, a enormous orange ball, just like you see in this photo, starts literally traveling towards us, but low, not like high in the sky like the stars. It was quite low in the atmosphere. And in that instance, I had my infrared camera with me in the room, not with me outside. I was outside. And all my friends, we were all looking at it. And I just had this thought in my mind, I need to go record this. I need to go get my camera. This is just too beautiful. And then I had another thought which said, no, don't go inside. Just stay where you are. Just enjoy. This is your gift. Just look at it and just enjoy it. Yet my ego was like, no, I got to capture this. And I went inside, got my camera, came back out, and there was nothing. So I asked my friends, guys, like, what happened? It was just there like a minute ago, not even 30 seconds ago. And they all told me, and remember, these are people that not only have not seen a UFO, but are not into it at all. They said, dude, as soon as you turned your back and you went inside to get your camera, that orb literally stopped, dimmed down into a small white light, and came and went back exactly where it came from. So it literally stopped, dimmed down, did a 180, and traveled back to the way it came from. And that's when I realized it was, I just had to stay there and enjoy it for what it was. So that was another one of my encounters out of many others. So since then, I've had many encounters, my friends, not all at night, a lot of it during the day. Everything you see here are captured by myself. So I have a Canon 70D. So this is what I've captured. I know some of you will think that these are balloons, but if I explain to you the circumstance of where and what I was doing, you'll understand that they weren't. And then, yeah, these at the bottom were very close encounters, which I'm happy to share as well with you at another time. So what does it feel like in the field? Would anyone like to just see a quick video of what it feels like in the field? Can I just get some thumbs up? Maurizio, definitely. Awesome, Tina. Thank you. Maurizio, I will share with you, I will share with you in the Q&A, or even alternatively, what type of equipment for filming and photographing at night is best. All right, Empo, awesome. Thank you so much, guys. First of all, so happy that you're all here with me. I'm having a great time. Hope you guys are also having a good time. Okay, so what it feels like in the field. But first, I just want to speak very quickly that contact experiences are happening, all around the world with teams just like you guys. All right, it's not rare. There are millions of people doing this, but contact happens on a spectrum. So I want you all to think about, when you think about yourself contacting UFOs, there may be some fear in there that, just like my initial encounter, which the reason why I was very scared on my very first encounter in 2011 with the laser and the lights is because in my mind I was like, well, what if they just land on my roof, take me, and then I don't see my family again, right? That was very scary. And that's when I looked away and then they left. But what I want to share with you is that there's essentially three ways that you could make contact, depending on who you are. So you have limited contact, right? I like to call that what I'm actually showing you now, which is limited contact. So imagine you're driving in a car and you're in the desert and you see another car very far away and you flash your lights at it and it flashes its lights back. That's limited contact, right? That's a form of communication. You've acknowledged one another, but it's limited. You can't speak to each other. You can't see each other. You can't physically touch each other. Then you have intermediate contact, which is what Dr. Greer has experienced a few times in the field, where you have actual physical crafts landing. And then you have full contact, which is you are full on interacting with them from physically, and you're going in their craft and they're taking you somewhere. This has happened, albeit very rarely. I don't just listen to anybody that tells me or that I see that they said they've been on a craft, of course. But the Rama group, my friends, this is who I want you to look into if you're interested. The Rama group, they have had full-on contact experiences, physical contact experiences. If any of you is interested, in fact, I didn't put that in the thing, but let me write it here. Enrique Villanueva, he is, like, YouTube him, because he has had physical encounter, and he describes it in an interview, which is extremely interesting to see how he felt and what he experienced in that physical encounter. I highly recommend that you look into it. So this is the type of contact that we can experience. So for those newer to this work, limited contact is what you can expect. And that is more than enough, my friends. As your practice deepens and your frequency rises, the field response, contacts become closer, it's less filtered, it's more direct. You grow into it. This is just how it works, right? I'm not saying that you go out tonight and you can't have physical contact. I'm not saying that that's not possible. But to be very honest with you, it's highly improbable because of science. Basically, it's our frequency, right? And I'm happy to touch on that as we move forward. So some quick footage from the field. I'm not going to play all of it because it's quite long, but I just want to show you what it feels like to be in the field. So this was one of our retreats. I think it was a few years ago in the Cedarburg of South Africa. And this is what we call a pulsar ship. Add that here in this presentation, my friend. I should have, and I probably will for next time. But there are many different types of limited contact or encounters you can have in the field. You have your flash bulbs, which are your classic, it's like a photograph that comes out of nowhere in the sky, but there's clearly no source to it. Then you have your fast walkers, which are incredibly fast little lights that defy the laws of physics just by the sheer speed and the turns that they make. I'll show you in the video now. Basically, if humans were in that ship, inertia would take over and you'd probably die. But they're able to do that because I'm guessing they have some anti-gravity technology. I don't actually know what technology they have. Then you have pulsars, which is what I'll show you now. So basically ships that pulse at very irregular speed. It is not satellites that are just reflecting the sun. All of these are tools that we have in our toolbox that we always double check before we document what we see. All right. So anyways, I'll share with you very quickly. Oh, so to give you context, sorry, I'm in the field right now. I'm holding the camera. We see something, but I cannot actually find it. So I'm going to pass.
Oh, there we go. Oh, more ships.
Oh, pulsar.
Wait, where is it, guys?
There we go.
Oh, nice.
Just said we didn't have a power upper or a pulsar. Now we get a pulsar.
Yeah, it's so weird. I can't. It's so difficult to film with this camera.
So I'm now going to pass it to Timothy, who's going to he is going to get it.
Oh yeah.
Stick it.
Just shine the laser there where it is.
There we go.
It's cool. I got it.
And the thing with this, my friend, is you don't just see it, but you feel it. That's the most beautiful part of this. You feel it. All right, so that was the pulsar ship. These are all on my YouTube channel. I'll share that. You're welcome to go have a look for yourself in your own time if you want. This is stationary ship, so let's have a quick look at that. Everyone still good? Hope everyone's still good. And hope everyone's having a good time.
Want to make a note of another flash? Thank you. Very interesting, and I'm filming it through the infrared. Yeah. Oh, and a small flash.
So sometimes
just flash bulbs.
Oh, there we go. Flash bulbs. I don't know if you all saw it, but you have sometimes, like I said, some stationary ships, I guess you could call it, or something that just sends light. It's like a photograph bulb that just comes out of the. You'll see it now.
Yeah, exactly.
One more and then we'll move on. Okay. Internet is doing its thing. Anyways, like I said, these are available on my YouTube channel. So let me just pause that quickly. Internet. Yes. All right. Okay. So a last quick video I'll show you now. So this is not from me. This is from friends of mine. So we have Linda Rohara, who is in the Netherlands, and Jimmy B, who was in California. So they basically decided to do an experiment, right? Called the bridge experiment. There we go.
Yeah.
So now I just want to show you what I mean by having a fast walker or a ship that you can see here that does things that are out of the ordinary, we could say. All right. So let's have a look at that. Okay. Stop. Not good. It's very high. Right, so this is a little bit more about what it looks and feels like in the field. Is everyone still here with me? Quick hands up, please. Travis, thank you. Maurizio, Tina, excellent. Thank you. Mark, are you still with us? Okay. All right, moving forward, my friend. So we get to the crux of this evening. 3 tips to make contact. First of all, I really need to know that you guys are excited to make contact. So if you are, keep that in your heart. All right. So 3 tips to make contact, my friends. So number 1, your frequency cycle per second. I know that sounds a little bit weird, but basically, my friends, you will never, ever have UFO contact. And I don't want to say never, ever. You will most likely not have UFO contact if on a daily basis, you are living in self-doubt, you are living in constant fear, and you are living by emotions that are negatively orientated in the first place, especially belief systems, right? So your frequency cycle per second is something that is very, very important to be aware of, is your state of being, especially when you're in the field, but generally in your day-to-day, because when you go in the field, your day-to-day is going to inform your frequency in the field, right? So everything vibrates, my friend. Everything. This is not just a wishy-washy mystical thing. This is actual science. It's quantum physics, right? Including you. So your frequency cycle per second is a measure of how expanded your energetic field is in your day-to-day life. To enable ET contact, it is said that one must vibrate at around 120,000 frequency cycles per second or above. General human beings vibrate at 40 to 50,000 cycles per second. Now, don't get discouraged, because I wouldn't consider you as the average human being. If you are on this webinar, my friends, first of all, you're definitely not there. You're most likely much higher in terms of frequency cycles. And I think that you're all very closer than you actually think. Just a quick one. I'm looking at the question. It's on my heart, but I feel like contact's a waste of time if the inner child is not going to reveal their purpose or where they are from. Absolutely. No, I get you. Absolutely. And you know what? The paradox of that, Mark, is that if they could just reveal who they are and what their purpose are, they would. However, it's not just one. It's not just one group deciding what happens. It's like world politics. It's a very, very big thing that our human minds will have difficulty understanding. Look, and I'll share this with you at the end, but it's very similar to, I want you to think about us as being the uncontacted tribes in the Amazon, right? Think about that for a second, because that's who we are in the cosmos right now, okay? We don't just go in the Amazon as human beings and contact those tribes. There are rules as that we have from a scientific point of view as to why we don't just go and introduce ourselves, right? It's kind of a similar thing here. It's kind of a similar thing, but I'm very excited to touch on that as we move forward, right? So my friends, something that's really important to make contact, number 1, is you must just lighten up. You must just lighten up. Let go of what weighs you down. Your relationships, your habits, your environments that drain your field. Increase your self-awareness and deepen your connection to your spirit, to your soul, and to your higher self. Expand your ability to receive guidance. And also, most importantly, act on it. It's good to get ideas. It's good to think, okay, tonight I'm going to go under the stars. But the most important part of thinking something is to act on it, right? If we don't act on it, we don't actually get anything out of it, right? So tip number 1, my friends, is really take action in the direction of your passion. Let go of what no longer serves you. Now, I know that sounds quite broad, but truly there is a science to it. There is a science to you feeling good. There's a science to you having an expanded vibration, having a clear mind, having clarity of action, and taking action every day from that point of view, from that frequency, from that positivity. It has a huge impact. And generally, individuals that operate in that way are much more prone to have the ability to vector in spacecraft, right? Because they operate on a much, much higher frequency than we are. Doesn't mean that they are better than us. In the contrary, no, we're all equal. It's just different levels of expression of all that is. Okay. So number 2, simple, my friends. Just go outside and begin. I don't know who's done this already or who hasn't done it, but just go outside. You don't need any equipment. You don't need a group. You don't need anything. Just take an hour after sunset. Go outside with an open sky, an open heart, and an open mind, and just look at the skies. Just enjoy the fact that you're outside looking at the most incredible ceiling we could ever dream of, because that's what the cosmos is. It's our ceiling right now, and it's out there for us to see every single night. So just that vibration alone is going to get you further than you think, right? Number 3, my apologies. So quick one, go out in the stars for 1 hour every night after sunset, not to look at something, simply to see the stars, connect with the cosmos, and come home to yourself. Lie down, get comfortable, release all expectations. State the invitation in your heart, not in your head. That's very important, my friends. Don't think it, just feel it, okay? Let whatever comes through to come through. Do not force it. And then focus your energy on things you love. What excites you, what lights you up. Frequency is everything. The more you focus on things that you love, things that you're grateful for, things that you're excited about, that's when your frequency really expands. And that's when you can truly shift to a world or reality, so to speak, where that experience is possible for you. And it happens much faster than you can imagine. I can promise you that, right? So what I'd like you to, and you're welcome to write this down, but if you go under the stars, my friend, this is all you have to say is, I invite and welcome any galactic family you would like to say hello to do so. I'm ready, open, and excited to engage, if relevant. That's it. All you have to say. You say that in your heart. You're welcome to meditate as well. I mean, obviously, there's a whole lot more to the Open Skies contact protocol than just this. This is just a taster. But it gets very technical as well. But to start, this is all you need, my friends. And then number 3 is keep going, keep learning, and keep investing in this. That's what it is. You know, it's not a one-night event. It's a practice. It's a relationship that you develop. It's a path. The more you invest your time, your attention, yourself into this work, the deeper you will go. All right? So if all you want is to see a UFO here and there, everything I've shared today will do it. Go outside, use an invitation, show up consistently. That's all it takes, my friends. And keep an open mind and open heart. But if you feel called to contribute to the greatest story and shift in human history, then you are exactly in the right place, my friends. All right? Give me a quick second. I'm reading the comments. Exactly. Okay, Mark, I have self-awareness, but what is the final goal of this contact? Let's chat about that in the Q&A. But ultimately, the goal of contact is to expand ourselves, right? It's to expand our society. It's to expand our ability to create things on this planet, not only for ourselves, but for others that are much more positive and much more conducive to an expanded society. Right now, that's not who we are. Right now, you may be wondering, why are they not just landing on the White House lawn and telling us that they're here and that they exist? Well, my friends, let me ask you this question. Would you go into an insane asylum and just go in and say, hey, what's up, guys? When you know that everyone in there is not only insane, but they all have automatic rifles and guns and sometimes kill each other just for the fun of it? I don't think you will. And that's exactly what's happening here. They don't just land because we're dangerous. Not only are we dangerous, but we're very primitive. We are still killing each other over stupid ideas, over stupid beliefs. We are still depleting our planet's resources for our energy. And we are blocking new energies from coming alive because it will just take away too much profit from those that have been profiting out of energy for so long. So that is what we need to do here as a society. Is we need to grow. And yes, Travis, psychotic shock is absolutely also why we don't just have physical contact. There is a saying that if you had to meet an ET physically, if he had to just appear in front of you, and you weren't ready for it, you would go into psychotic shock because it would bring up way too many things to the surface all at once. It would be too much for your brain and your nervous system to handle. You would just go into shock and pass out. That's apparently what would happen. So we have to get into this slowly but surely and grow into it. And the only way we can do that is to work on ourselves. All right? So if I may, my friends, we are nearly done, nearly ready for your Q&A, which I'm very excited about. I'd like to briefly share my vision with you, right? I've got a vision for this. It's really my highest passion. I've done so many things in my life. However, this is really what I'd like to do for the rest of my days. So my goal is to train 1 million people in the Open Skies Contact Protocol by 2040, right? It's a practicable, repeatable framework for initiating peaceful, conscious contact with non-human intelligence, all right? 1 million people. That's what I'm aiming for. It's to facilitate a people-led bridge to our galactic neighbors in a spirit of peace, evolution, and community. Not governments, not institutions, ordinary people, just like you, just like me, saying hello and welcome. All right. It's basically, my friends, right now there are some people at the door knocking. They've been knocking forever and no one's answering. It's time for us to get up, go open the door and say welcome. I don't know if some of you agree. Just going to read very quickly Mauricio's comment. A Brazilian scientist has a theory to explain how these beings have the ability to perceive our minds and our purposes. Okay, awesome. I'll definitely have a look at that. Thank you, Mauricio. So that is my vision, my friends. 1 million contact facilitators trained in the Open Skies Contact Protocol by 2040. That's what I'm going to be working towards. This is what this is about. This is my very first webinar. You are the very first people to see it, which I'm very grateful for. And I'm going to be doing this every single week. I hope that, well, I don't hope. I will just take taking action. I have no expectation. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, I did my best. That's what it's about. All right. So how I plan on doing that, my friends, of course, I am going to be launching the First Contact live course. From what I understand, it is the first online course of its kind in the world. I haven't actually seen if anyone else has been doing that. I don't think so. But basically, it's a structured, immersive 4-week live program designed to take you from curious to capable in the field, making conscious contact with non-human intelligence. So it's around 4 weeks, although we can tailor that to what works for you. It's in a group. There's only 8 people per group. You get access to the immersive Open Skies platform, which is how we're going to go through the learning experience. You get the full Open Skies contact protocol training, theory, and the lived field practice. You get guided field sessions and contact protocols. You get a lifetime support from me, because if you join, then I'll always be there for you. And then you also get eligibility to eventually become a facilitator yourself. So what this course mainly is about is just for you as an individual to be able to go out under the sky and take that relationship with our galactic neighbors to another level. And then eventually you'd be able to also become a facilitator yourself, right? Because that's how we're going to reach 1 million. I'm not going to be able to reach all these people. I will need a team and people that work with me in training other people on how to do this. Okay. Then I've got first contact coaching. It is exactly what it says. By the way, I am a professional coach. I am a certified coach from the International Coaching Federation. I have been training and working with some of the largest brands in the world in the last 4 or 5 years through my own company called Enlight. I've worked with companies like HSBC, KFC on coaching and training their leadership teams and their people on a lot of different soft skills programs. So I'm not just like anyone coming in here and say I can teach you. I am a trained coach, and now I'm marrying that with my love for the Open Skies contact protocols and how to initiate and engage this on your side as well. So it's a fully one-on-one personalized session with me every week or twice a month. It's up to you. And everything is tailored to you. So if you're interested in that, that's what it's about. So 2 path, 1 destination. This is the general pricing of it. I'm not going to touch much on it, but that's not going to be the price that I will share with you guys because you're here for the first time. I'm putting, of course, all of this at a 50% discount. So if you are interested in that, please let me know at the end of the session. We can speak about it more. But it's going to be $444 for the 4 weeks live course and $333 a month for coaching. All right, so where can this take you? So First Contact Live course, you can, of course, join a community working towards the same extraordinary goal. And, doing the course and having 8 other people or 7 other people doing it with you, it really increases the coherency between the group, because something that's really important when we go in a field together is, and I'm not saying you and I, but I'm just saying if you and friends go in a field to do this, what's really important is coherency. And remember, at the beginning of this presentation, I said that we had 90% contact success rate, so to speak. Well, what about those 10%? Those 10% is because we had individuals or elements in our group that weren't coherent with us. They were not only very skeptic, but they were there to disprove something. And that's just, that energy, that frequency just doesn't work. And I kid you not, as soon as they left, because they left at one stage, contact happened immediately. So that's a little bit about that, my friends. There are many paths for you here. If you're interested in joining me on this mission, I'd be very grateful to discuss this with any of you. So yeah, this is how the million becomes possible. And of course, if you're not ready for any of that, that's completely fine. I'm just really grateful that you are here. If you're interested in supporting, you can support this in your own way by liking our Facebook page or by sharing this webinar with a friend that may be interested in also learning about that, right? So just spreading the word about it would be genuinely amazing. So you're welcome to, of course, send me an email to this email. I think most of you already have my email. So my friends, I am now ready for some questions. I hope that you all enjoyed this presentation. Again, this was my very first time doing it, so any feedback would be mostly appreciated. I hope that the main thing that I hope you got out of this is value. I just hope that you at least got some ideas and some information as to how you can integrate that in your life as well. So I welcome any and all questions now. Okay, let me have a quick look. So going back up here. So Mark says, why didn't they make contact 2,000 years ago? Why is this process so slow if the NHI have been around for thousands of years? Mark, very good question. And again, it comes back down to frequency, right? You cannot perceive what you're not the vibration of. Mark, right now, you and everyone else here, including myself, are only seeing 0.01% of the spectrum of light that is available to us. We cannot see infrared, we cannot see purple light, we cannot see anything else but what we see with our eyes, which is 0.01%. So you cannot see what you're not the vibration of. People 2,000 years ago had a much lower vibration, I think, than what we have now, right? They were constant survival mode, constant, just trying to survive. However, if you go back a little bit more, I mean, in times of Atlantis or Egypt, there is no doubt in my mind that there was some extraterrestrial involvement there. However, the reason why they retracted from our society is because, and I'm not saying that that's a fact, I'm just saying that's my personal opinion on 15 years of research, is because we were treating them like deities. We were worshiping them like gods, which they didn't want. They don't want. They still don't want that. They want us to see them as equals. Sure, they could be 10,000 or a million years more technologically, spiritually, or socially advanced than us. It doesn't mean that they're more valuable or worthy than us. That's the spiritual understanding that they come with, is that we are not just like little people on a planet that don't know what we're doing. We are part of creation. We are part of a system. You know, when your true intelligence is that having the ability to see systems as a whole, we are part of that system. We're part of the universe. We're part of this galaxy. They are extremely fascinated by us, extremely. Okay. Mauricio Bilao, why now? Well, my friend, very good question. Mauricio, now because we are evolving faster than ever before. I don't know if you realize, but in the last 100 years, our technological advancement has outweighed anything we've done in the last 10,000 years as a human species. And in 1946, in 1945, 1946, 1947, when we started detonating atomic bombs, that's when they're like, there are some interesting people on this planet that are quite limited in their ways of seeing the universe and themselves, that are starting to create technology that not only can impact them, but can impact other realities and other worlds. And we will simply not allow that. Right? So right now they are approaching, they are engaging with us in that way because it is time for us to awaken. It is time for us to move forward. It is time for us to become a global society that is able to thrive and not fight itself constantly. Mark, did the NHI know that humans were going to create nuclear weapons before they were actually created? You know what, Mark? I'm not sure, but I would guess that that could be correct. They could have known. And also, they didn't stop Hiroshima. They let it happen. Why? For us to realize just how bad that was, right? After Hiroshima, that's when a lot of deals were signed around the world with nuclear powers that they would never do that again, right? Sometimes you have to do something and get burned to understand what fire is. And I think that that's what happened. And from what I understand, they had there was a directive that they just could not interfere. It is our business at the end of the day. It is our planet. They're not here to save us. They're not here to do it for us. They're here to guide us if we want, but they're not here to do it for us, right? And so I think that they're here to allow us to learn in our own time, in whatever way works for us. However, nuclear annihilation is something I'm quite sure they will just not allow. Why the contact is furtive, brief, as if we're asking for proof and they're only hints. Love that, Mauricio. You know what? I'm so happy you mentioned that. Is there a larger control system limiting open contact in the moment? Yes, there is. And it's entirely in your hands. That's the thing. It's yourself. You are limiting contact yourself. If you could have physical contact tomorrow. I'm not saying you couldn't, but you're just not in the right frequency or state of being in it to be able to even handle that. Right? And why is it so furtive or brief? My friend, something I've realized, and I will teach in the course, if any of you are interested, is contact is very subtle at first. And it requires you to play a role of accountability in it that if you don't, you just will forget about it. I've had so many friends that have had experiences with me. And when I ask them about it today, they're like, that was interesting, but they don't think more on it. But if you truly are able to go beyond the subtleness of things and understand why and how things have worked, you will see that there's a much larger coincidence at play than you could ever imagine. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it. I enjoy this conversation. I also enjoyed it very, very much. Do we have any more questions, my friends? Did everyone have a good time? Great, Mark. Thanks so much for joining. I appreciate it. I still have a few more minutes. If you guys have any other questions that you'd like to touch on. Empo, Tina, great. Tina, I'm grateful you joined. I didn't hear much from you, but I'm grateful you joined. Thank you so much. Last few seconds for a question. Nope. Well, you're welcome to reach out to me anytime. Travis, I can feel the energy even when I am channeling. Yes, well, in fact, when you channel Travis, that is exactly when you'll feel the energy even more. So I've been following your journey for a while, and I wish you all the best moving forward. So Mauricio, thank you. I'm 56 years old. I'm an economist and I'm a C5 enthusiast. I love researching and participating in this important topic. I'm currently working undercover as an auditor at the largest bank in Latin America. Wow. I really enjoyed doing a writing science fiction. I wrote a trilogy with Zach Foster as the main character. If you like, I can send you the PDF files. Thank you so much. Yes, I look forward to hearing anything you have to share. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it. So, my friends, the sky has always been open. It's always been there. The question is, have you? That's really the main question. So, thank you all for being here tonight, my friends. I'm going to say they noticed. They did. They are aware that this is happening. They're aware that you're aware, right? So the field is already shifted. What happens next is entirely up to you. So if you're interested in joining my initiative and moving forward into this journey, I'd be very grateful to do so. Feel free to send me a message. There's no button where you can check out or whatever. This is not a normal webinar. I'm not really a great salesman, but I'd love to be able to work with you guys on my contact course and some coaching if you're interested. So yeah, thank you so much, guys. Is there any last questions before we move forward? Who's going out in the field tonight? Can I just get a show of hands, please? Yes, Tina, lovely. Thank you. Thank you, Mauricio. My friends, I had a really, really great time. I just hope that you guys had value from it. Feel free to like our Facebook page, to visit our website, to engage with us. And again, feel free to reach out and discuss at any point. In the meantime, I wish you the most incredible contact experiences, and I'm very grateful that you were all able to join. Thank you all so very much. I wish you guys a great day ahead. Thank you. Still here if anyone has any questions. Much love, guys. Thank you.